to go straight into the press review with Leo. Back to one of our top stories, the news that Israel have rejected the latest ceasefire proposal. What has the press reaction been then, Leo?
Yeah, I'll start with the Telegraph. They have that headline: Netanyahu rejects Hamas ceasefire, calling the deal a ruse. You can actually see the image on the front page there of Gazans celebrating in the streets. That's when they heard that Hamas had accepted that ceasefire. Ceasefire now, of course, Israel have rejected. The Middle East Eye, a Qatari-funded media organisation, have this, saying the ICC must seize this moment to hold Israel accountable. It has an opportunity to act in accordance with its mandate and redeem its reputation for spinelessness, and issue arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and some top ministers. Netanyahu previously said the arrest warrants would pose a threat to the rights of democracies to defend themselves against their enemies. And according to this piece, Israel has no intention of complying with international law, no matter what the source of authority. I'll finish with this piece from The National, imploring the US to find a new way towards peace in the region. Nations in the Middle East need peace and stability, this piece says, and they need to be in a position to benefit from regional cooperation. But to get there, the US needs to change direction and work within the framework of the UN to create a regional security framework for that peace and stability.
Russia next, that story we were talking about earlier with Gulliver. Vladimir Putin set to be sworn in today for a new 6-year term as president of the country.
Yeah, and by the time this mandate ends, it will be 30 years as head of the Kremlin for Vladimir Putin. And the Washington Post have this morning. They say his inauguration will showcase Russia's shift into what pro-Kremlin commentators call a revolutionary power set on upending the global order, making its own rules. This article says that in order to carry out the transformation, the Kremlin is forging an ultra-conservative, puritanical society, reshaping education at all levels to indoctrinate a new generation of turbo-patriotic youth, as well as many other things, such as mobilising zealous pro-war activism and rolling back women's rights. This piece is a part of a really interesting series called Russia Remastered. This image perhaps best encapsulating the new Russia, as they call it. It goes on to describe Putin as being long obsessed with the country's population decline, urging Russian women to have 8 or more babies, while also seizing chunks of Ukrainian population by force. The Kremlin has issued 3 million passports in eastern Ukraine since 2019. I'll finish by showing you a graph which is part of the article, showing people persecuted by the Russian authorities for political reasons. As you can see, since 2022 and the start of the Ukrainian invasion, that number's absolutely exploded, up to over 500 a year.
Now then, he may have died 197 years ago, but we've got new information for you, or Leo has anyway, as to how Ludwig van Beethoven might have actually lost his hearing.
Yeah, Stuart, he died 197 years ago, as you say, and it's exactly 200 years since Ludwig van Beethoven produced the Ninth Symphony. And what a lot of people won't know is that a young Stuart Norval was actually in the audience that day. And there's a story this morning in the New York Times as to how he may have lost his hearing and how strands of his hair can reveal the key into how that happened. 2 locks of his hair were analysed, and it was found that one of the locks had 258 micrograms of lead per gram of hair and the other 380 micrograms. To put that into perspective, a normal level in hair is less than 4 micrograms of lead per gram. One expert say that his intestinal problems are completely consistent with lead poisoning. As for his deafness, high doses of lead affect the nervous system and could well have led to his deafness. But how did he get to such levels? A likely source, what tends to be a downfall for a lot of us: cheap wine. Beethoven drank copious amounts of wine, about a bottle a day, and back in those days, lead was added to the wine to make it taste better. As he lay on his deathbed, Beethoven's publisher gave him a gift of 12 bottles of wine, to which he whispered his last recorded words: "Pity, pity, too late." And I'm no Dr. Stewart, but I'd advise people, if they're going to people on their deathbeds, maybe 12 bottles of wine. Don't give them, maybe some grapes or something like that. 12 bottles of wine is maybe a bit too much.
I can't hear a word you're saying. It's all that cheap wine, Leo. He's going to finish in New York, I did warn you. The Met Gala took place overnight, often touted as the most anticipated fashion event of the year, and Leo's picked out some of the highlights and the lowlights as well for us.
Yeah, well, every time the Met Gala comes around, the internet goes into overdrive with memes aplenty. The dress code this year was Garden of Time. I'll show you some of the best looks to start. The Guardian and the Vogue have a handy guide of all the best looks. This is Zendaya, not her only outfit of the night. She had an outfit change halfway through that very impressive look. Writer and actor Dan Levy had this impressive two-piece suit, so there's two suits in one almost. But let's be honest, none of us are here for the best outfits. We want to see the worst ones. So I'll show you a couple of memes on Twitter. Nicki Minaj didn't get the best reception for that look, and actor Barry Cohen drew comparisons with the Artful Dodger, which I can very much see from that. I want to finish maybe my favourite outfit, and I think, Stuart, you would look very good in this. This is rapper Bad Bunny.
Oh, well, you see, I'm into rap, so yeah.
Well, exactly. I assume you've seen this already. But if I come in tomorrow and you're not wearing this, I'll just say I'll be very disappointed. I think you could pull it off.
Hopefully Dipty's here tomorrow during the press review, because I'm not quite sure it's quite the right look to read in the news, but you never know. Leo with the papers on France 24, he'll be watching at home tomorrow to see. Latest news coming up shortly. Stay with us.